Good morning, simulation farmers. This is a power moth keeping you warm on the ribbon and cool in your heart. My name is Tiara. I go by Charm. I go by Rain. I respond to all three. Welcome back to the episode of To Be Real. If you guys don't know that intro, it's because you haven't watched the Midnight Gospel, which I recommend literally to everybody. Please watch it. It's on Netflix. I had decided to call you guys my little sweet angel babies because I love you so much. But you know what? I just might call you guys simulation farmers. Please watch that TV show so you guys understand the reference. Anyways, today's episode is all about your point of attraction. Let me fix my camera a little bit. Yeah, today's episode is all about your point of attraction. And when I say point of attraction, I'm referencing where your vibrational energy stands and therefore what it is that you're attracting or in alignment to attract because of the frequency and the energy that you're putting out. So your point of attraction, what you're attracting into your life. The reason we're going to go into this topic is because as soon as people learn about manifestation, law of attraction, there comes this huge fear of thinking anything negative. It's like, oh my gosh, if I think something negative, then something negative is going to happen. I have to only think happy thoughts. And, I just have to change every single negative thought that ever comes up in order to protect myself from anything bad that could happen as a result of having these negative thoughts. Obviously, or maybe not so obviously, that is not one, sustainable, and two, respecting just life, then the flow of life and the fact that we live in a dualistic reality in which there is good and bad, light and dark, and you use the darkness in order to compress and then expand, and you bring the light out of the darkness. That's just the way the cookie crumbles, the yin and yang, and like the two sides of the same coin, positive, negative, and when you spin it, it makes the one. And so we are going to talk about your point of attraction and what is the difference between the negative thoughts that you think that attract something negative versus the negative thoughts that you simply need to allow to pass through you, acknowledge them, embrace them, release them, etc. That being said, let's get right into the episode. In the introduction, I talked about your point of attraction and how when people first find out about manifestation, it's all about never thinking another negative thought ever, because or else something bad is going to happen because your thoughts, feelings, and beliefs, they dictate the kind of energy that you're putting out. And that means that whatever you're putting out, you're going to attract. It's a scary little phase to go through. It's a nerve-wracking phase to go through, but I do think it's kind of a rite of passage for anyone that starts in this work. But I think that even afterwards, when that's no longer your core belief and you no longer really fear your negative beliefs, there's always that underlying sensation when something negative comes about and you're kind of pondering it and dwelling on it and you're like, oh shoot, I need to process this immediately so that I don't attract something negative and so that I'm not, continuing to bring myself more situations that resonate or that are in alignment with this energy that I'm putting out. But I'm here to tell you something different. I am here to tell you that your negative thoughts, feelings, and even your beliefs are not what your point of attraction is made of. That's not what will dictate the kind of reality that you'll experience. What dictates your reality and what your true point of attraction is where your awareness lies, what your awareness of who you truly are is. And so your awareness kind of becomes the climate of your soul, and your thoughts, feelings, and beliefs, they're more so the daily weather or the season. Your negative thoughts, feelings, and beliefs are not what attract your reality. That is not necessarily what your point of attraction is. A lot of people talk about how, especially once they're in a different level of manifestation and maybe they're teaching this to other people, they talk about how they're not worried about thinking negative thoughts. They know that even when they're having a tough day, even when they're having, a rough week, even when things don't seem to be fully energetically aligned within them and they feel it, they feel negative, they feel frustrated, whatever, they're not worried about their manifestation being affected. They're like, no, I'm always attracting everything that I desire, even when I'm having an off day. And why is that? Because these people subconsciously understand that your thoughts, feelings, and even your beliefs are the weather that you experience, whereas your awareness is more so the climate of who you are. And why is that? wherever your awareness is, whatever your level of awareness is, whether you have a limited sense of awareness or whether your awareness is expanding and you're becoming more conscious, whatever it is that you are aware of yourself being, whatever it is that you identify as, that is what your point of attraction will be. And the reason why they say that your beliefs are really the core of you is because when you believe something, you act it out. Your awareness, your sense of being, your sense of identity is attached to that belief. However, if you are aware of this current belief that you are holding, you are no longer identifying with your belief. You are now identifying and conscious of being the I am, the consciousness that is watching and experiencing your mind having these negative thoughts, feelings, and belief, experiencing your human having this very human experience that is full of negative and positive things. And so that is why awareness plays such a huge role. That is why you can have a negative thought, feeling, belief, an off day, an off month, even an off year, and know with every fiber in your being that you are still in alignment. And I can comfortably say that if things are not moving very smoothly, or if it's just like a string of negative events, a string of negative events, a string of negative events, and they all seem to hold that negative frequency of, maybe it's shame, maybe it's rooted in fear, maybe it's rooted in feeling unseen, unloved, etc., then to a degree, you have now identified with this belief and you are no longer operating from your true point of awareness. And when you remember your awareness, when you remember to be the watcher rather than being and identifying with your thoughts and feelings and beliefs, you are able to take your power away from that situation, re-empower yourself as the I am, as the eternal soul, as your higher self that is always abundant, is always loved, is always protected, is here to learn and experience rather than to get lost in it. When you remember that that is who you truly are, you are able to notice, okay, this is a belief that I have. Let me work with it. Let me be present for it. Let me process it. Let me dissect it, get curious about it versus identifying with it. A huge reason as to why people suppress their emotions and why they don't want to face the ugly beliefs that they have within them is because they believe that if they look at it, they are going to spiral and never come out. And that is true. That is true if you still identify with your beliefs. But the second that you stop identifying with anything that has to do with this realm, with anything that is not part of the I am, part of the whole, part of eternal abundance, part of the flow, part of the unity of everything that is, until you bring your awareness of being part of that once more, yes, you will get dragged to hell and back, and you will be at the mercy of your thoughts, feelings, and beliefs, because that is your identity, and you're letting your thoughts, feelings, and beliefs tell you who you are. Tell you this is what you will experience. This is what you deserve. This is what you don't deserve. This is what you're capable of doing. You identify with that. And a huge part of rewiring your mind is changing your identity. What is it that I now identify with? The difference between being consistent with something and knowing that I can take a break, I can, take a month off or whatever. The difference between that versus someone that maybe goes to the gym and they're like, if I take more than 2 days of a break, I know I will never go again. That was me. I'm not a fan of the gym. I've never been a fan of the gym. And I knew the times that I would try and start and go with my ex and stuff, I knew oh my gosh, if I stop this, I won't go back. And that was the truth. The times that I would stop and pause, I would take a month or a month and a half off. And it was because I didn't identify as a gym girly. I was actually extremely aware of the fact that I hated this. I did not identify as a gym girly. I never planned to identify as a gym girly. And people would be like, once you go for a month or two, everything's going to change. You're just going to love it. No, the most I think I ever went was 3 months in a row. And I was like, I don't feel that way. I still dread this. I still don't enjoy this. Not because I know a lot of people are like, oh, I'm just embarrassed about what not, or what to do. And I don't know. I don't want people to know that I'm new here. It wasn't that for me. I couldn't care less. For me, it was, I hate being indoors. I hate that I'm like exercising. I'm like on a treadmill. Like if I'm going to be walking, I want to be outside and I want to be in the trees and I want fresh air. I did not like being enclosed in a gym. And while I did like working with the machines, that was the least of two evils for me. Everything is gray and drab. I'm just like not a fan. However, when I discovered yoga, I was like, oh, this is a bit of me. This is a bit of me. I love this. I really pushed myself to go for 30 days. At the time, I was doing a monthly 30-day challenge, and January happened to be my month for doing yoga. And after that, I was like, oh no. No. This is not about to be a 30-day challenge. This is now part of my lifestyle. I am a yogi. And whatever, I'm still a beginner. I'm still learning a lot of stuff. I put up in one of the episodes, me doing like the headstand. I was so wobbly, and I've seen people do it and they're in perfect stillness and serenity and whatever. I'm still new. I'm still wobbling. I'm still finding my footing. However, I knew that with every fiber in my being, that no matter what, I would always come back to this. I gave myself a month off. I had been traveling a lot and I injured my leg. And so I just wasn't going that much, and I'm paying for a monthly membership. And so I was like, let me just take a month off, and you know what? I'll come back. And never in that 1 month off did I think, oh my gosh, like, oh no, I'm taking a whole month off. Like I'll probably never go back. No, it was like, wow, I'm really appreciating this break. My leg is getting to heal. I know I'm not paying for a membership that I'm not going to really be using for this month. And as soon as that month was over, I was like, fuck yeah, let's start. And like a few days before October started, I was like, fuck yeah, let's go. I'm so excited. I miss it. I love it. Why? Because doing yoga is part of my identity. It's something that I love and identify with and see it as something that I will have in my life forever. And so changing your identity, changing your beliefs about yourself, what it is that you're capable of, what it is that you think you deserve, etc., that becomes the way you walk through life. And your beliefs typically are in perfect alignment with that. But in the same way that your thoughts and feelings are transient and not eternal, neither are your beliefs. You can change your beliefs whenever you want. Whenever I talk about power without permission, it's always in the context of you don't have to wait for anybody to give you permission to change the way you think, feel, whatever about yourself. You just don't. That's your personal power because you get to decide who you are. Nothing external can define you unless you give it the power to, unless you relinquish what is rightfully yours, your power to define yourself, and you externalize it to somebody, someone, something else, and say, okay, you can tell me what I'm worthy of, whether I'm good enough. And so if it's something that is not eternal, it's something that you can choose, change, etc., then it's not truly part of the I am. The I am is eternal. And so anything that belongs to this world will prove that to you by not being eternal. When you identify with the I am, when you bring your awareness back to the fact that you are the consciousness behind, the awareness behind your thoughts, feelings, and belief, the awareness behind your human experience, you reclaim your power, even from your beliefs. Now you can look at that belief and give it a different perspective. Because you're like, well, if I can choose whatever I believe, then I can change that. And no one has to give me permission to do that. I can just change it. But first, you have to be able to detach yourself from that belief. And so again, the reason that most people fear exploring that is because they're terrified to find out that this might be true about them. Personally, every time I've done it, always, every single time without fail, every time that I have faced a limiting belief and explored it and understood why my subconscious was presenting this to me, why it was making me feel, act, etc. a certain way, show up a certain way in my life, was because it thought it was protecting me from something. I've always been like, wow, that's actually really valid. It's producing the opposite effect. And therefore, I'm going to tell you what it is that I do want to experience and the types of thoughts, feelings, and beliefs that I need to have in order to make that my new coding, the new coding that my mind is now trying to execute in my external reality. Once you can do that, you are free. You are free. You have given your mind, your subconscious mind, a different perspective from which it can operate from. And that's really the second step. It's telling your mind exactly what it is that you would like to experience next or differently. The first step comes with unidentifying yourself from your current beliefs and saying, no, this is something that is not eternal. Therefore, it's not true about myself. I have the power to change this, and I am reclaiming my power. Your point of awareness allows you to experience your emotions, allows you to process your emotions, allows you to notice your emotions, allows you to explore them without being dragged by them. Let go or get dragged. Let go of the negative thoughts, feelings, and beliefs that you are identifying with, or they will drag you. They will drag you to hell and back. That's what you've known them to do every single time. You spiral and you ruminate and you stress and you're anxious and you project it and you experience it and you're in this negative feedback loop. You need to disidentify and bring your awareness back to the fact that you are the I am. You give things power and you give things permission to either have or not have power over you. And that at any point, you can take that back. It's yours to claim. It was honestly never supposed to be given out in the first place. And that's almost always, I want to say always, there's that underlying lesson of where have I given away my power in this situation? How can I reclaim it? And once I reclaim it, what am I thinking differently about the situation that will allow me to experience a different reality? Your soul knows who you truly are. And while you are here to experience a different reality, your soul also knows that part of you expanding your awareness is allowing the negative thoughts, feelings, and beliefs to arise for you to become aware of them and release them in order to reintegrate the sense of power that you had externalized to that situation. That is your inner guidance system that says, I know this is uncomfortable to look at, but you need to, because some sort of thought, feeling, or belief is out of alignment with who you truly are. I'm going to stop saying thoughts, feelings, and beliefs. We're just going to say beliefs, and that encompasses everything that comes from that belief. Anything that you put after the term I am is now something that you are subconsciously identifying with. I am sad. I am frustrated. I am poor. I am unloved. I am, insert limitation on the I am. Even if it is positive, you are none of these things. You are experiencing these things. You are not the things that you accomplish or even the things that line up with your purpose. You are not any of those things. Those are just things that come as a result of you taking action. They come and they go, and they are not things that you will take when your soul is removed from this body. Only the things that are eternally true about you will be returned back to source. Even when you identify with the good things, because you have externalized your power to them, something will come up that will challenge that in your external reality, because your soul knows, hey, this is not me. I am not my positive accomplishments. I'm not my full bank account. I'm not any of these things. And therefore, I'm going to bring something up in order to remind you of that, in order for you to reclaim your power. And maybe once you reclaim your power, you now re-experience that, or you no longer feel the need to experience that. And, maybe you just live your life maybe with less money and you give it all away to charity. And, you just know that that's not really what you wanted. That's just something that you were conditioned to believe that you needed to have. And once you had it, you were so proud that you could show the world, I've made it. I've made it. And so you hold on to that and you identify with that in order to feel worthy, in order to feel proud of yourself, in order to feel like, you fit in with society and you have your group, you have your tribe, and you won't be ostracized. You'll be part of the pack. You'll feel safe there. In all of these things, you are dependent of the external reality. And so therefore, you're not in alignment with your true power. You are the I am. You have the capacity to transform and experience anything that you want. You have the ability to put anything after that term I am. However, the best belief that you could possibly have is simply I am. I am. I am the consciousness, the awareness behind it all, behind the good, the bad, the troublesome, the heartache, the highs, and everything. I am that I am. When you identify with the fact that you are the I am, Once you are aware of, hey, I've given away my power in this place and I am identifying with some sort of negative belief, and you reclaim your power and you say, I am everything that is true about source. Then you can experience life in the way that you are meant to experience it. Getting curious about it, figuring out what it is that you need to learn about it, integrating it into your life, expanding your awareness as a result of it, gathering the light from the dark, and using your compression in order to lead to a greater expansion. Then you are able to do that. You're able to play the game rather than getting lost in the game. Now you're playing the game and you're excited and you feel capable and you're like, yeah, let's do it. Let's face this. Every single time that I had like a spiritual therapy session, and they're like 2 hours long and they're incredibly emotionally intense and draining, and a lot comes up, and you're, having to relive really difficult memories or traumatic memories, and you're having to do a lot in the spiritual realm. I would go in there with so much excitement because I was like, this is going to hurt so bad, but I know that by the end, I'm going to feel so much better because I will have released this thing. And so I would go in there with everything that I had, and the times that I would feel myself blocking myself up and just being like, oh, I don't want to break down. I don't want to, let on how much this really affected me, or I don't want to be vulnerable. I knew that I was resisting the process and that everything that I wanted to get out of it would not come to me until I allowed myself and my heart to crack open and say, this is what happened. This is what I believed as a result. This is the way it's showing up. And this is, the way it's being reflected to me in my external reality, and, everything that makes me feel about myself. Once that would happen, then I knew the ball is rolling. I'm on my way to reclaiming my power from this situation. And once I have, I know that my life will change because I'm going to imbue myself with this new thought belief. I'm going to imbue myself with this new belief that will allow me to change the way I'm experiencing my reality. The moment that you separate yourself from a belief that you have, once you have that awareness of who you truly are, it's safe to go in and explore that because you're like, I know who I am. And therefore, I no longer resonate. I'm not an energetic match to the frequency that this belief is emitting. And so even if that is, what is being emitted by this situation, by what I'm experiencing right now in the external reality, by the feelings that I'm having, I know that I am simply experiencing something, but I am grounded in a greater belief than that. I've let go. I've released what is not mine. The only thing that is truly yours is anything that is eternal, your soul, the greater lessons that your soul came here to experience in order to expand its awareness as well. Then you feel safe. Then you're not trying to fight every single negative belief that you have. You can explore it with curiosity and joy. And, and I say joy in the sense of not that, oh, it doesn't hurt anymore, but with this sense of maybe not even joy, a sense of relief where you're like, okay, this is just part of the job. This is part of being human. Let me explore this. Let me change this belief so I'm not having to necessarily fight all the time with, kind of falling asleep again and getting lost in this negative belief and then trying to bring myself back into my sense of awareness. Let me just change the belief so that when I fall asleep per se, I'm still experiencing something that is true about my higher self. Abundance, love, connection, unity, power. When you bring your awareness back to who you truly are, you can be present for these emotions. You can sit with them. You can sit with them in the same way that you sit with a friend that is grieving. You know that you're not them. You can sit with them and love on them and hear them out and allow them to cry and feel and experience and break down. You can create space for that without identifying with them and being like, this is also happening to me. You're experiencing this with them, but it's not who you are. It's not even who they are. They're lost in it, and rightfully so. Part of being human is deeply feeling and experiencing these things. And so you're honoring your human experience when you allow yourself to be affected and feel heartbroken and to feel agony and pain. That's part of it. It's so valid for you to feel that and experience that and sit with it and be present with it. However, what is out of alignment is when you are lost in that, when you are asleep to who you truly are, when you are asleep to the idea and the fact that you are transcendent over anything in this reality. So validate those experiences. Validate them. They're so valid. Validate your emotions, but sit with them with the peace of mind of, I know that even when I sit with this and I sit with it with presence, not only is this going to transmute the energy of this situation and bring something really beautiful out of it, and I will be able to be the light within it and carry that light outside of it to be a light for others or a guiding light for myself when I go through this again. You can do all of that without fearing getting lost in it. You know who you are. You know that this is an experience that you are having rather than who you are. You have the power to detach and no longer identify with that experience. And so you are free to experience the totality of it, knowing that where your awareness lies is still in alignment with who your soul knows you to be before you came into this reality and after you leave it. You are the I am. Meditation leads you to remember that, to become the awareness behind everything that's going on in your mind. It allows you to be in control of the tool that was gifted to you, your mind, and your ability to create. It allows you to hone that power and become the master of it rather than a slave to it. I've mentioned this before, how Dr. Jordan Peterson talks about why the negative situations, why painful situations attract our attention so much. It's because they have an element of the unknown. With the good and the positive, you can allow yourself to relax and just experience and let it happen. And you just release it. It becomes another good day in the books. However, the negative situations, you're on high alert. You're like, what is that? I need to protect myself from that. I can't peel my eyes away from this horrifying accident. I need to know what is hidden within that situation so I can no longer fear. Bring something that allows me to feel safe again, that allows me to understand what's going on in my experience. And so your mind is naturally attuned to notice the negative things first because it's trying to protect you. However, when we notice these things and then we get lost in them and we identify with them, now your point of attraction, which is your awareness, is lost and tangled up in this negative situation. That's your point of attraction. That's when you start attracting more and more things in alignment with those beliefs. And you start attracting more experiences that allow your mind to run and execute that code. I'm not enough. I'm not safe. I'm not loved. I'm not protected. I'm unworthy. I can't do this. I'm not that. I will never be whatever. I am not capable. When you allow yourself to release the blank that you are typically filling in that comes after the I am, you are now in alignment with the wholeness of who you are, and therefore your cup is receiving the flow from the eternal you, your immortal diamond, your higher self. And therefore, you are experiencing all of the truths that the I am is. I'm going to do another episode about how lack and poverty and all of those negative things don't actually exist. They are simply the absence of what is, the absence of love, the absence of abundance. And so the only way that you are not experiencing these things is when you are out of alignment. These things are eternal. They're constantly flowing. They never stop. And so when you're in alignment with that, you're effortlessly receiving. Your cup is always full. Your experiences reflect it. You attract more wonderful things and your life flows and it's easy and you can let go and you can be a light for others and you can be a light for yourself and you can just be and experience and love every moment of it and get lost in the process where you're like, oh my God, this feels so good. I love being human. I love this human experience. The good and the bad, it's all a wonderful experience that I signed up for on purpose. I know that someday I'm going to wake up and I won't be in this body anymore and I will no longer have this ability to be me. I'm going to enjoy it The good and the bad, it's all part of the experience. It all deserves to be honored and respected and met with presence. When you leave I am as I am, you are allowing all that the true eternal I am is to flow to and through you. Love, connection, alignment, synchronicity, abundance, unity, flow, ease, playfulness. You are now capable of receiving that and having it flow to and through you. But the I am remains. The I am is the independent variable. Again, even if what you're placing at the end of the I am is good or positive, it's still a limitation that you are placing on the I am, because if this blank is filled, then it's filled. It's no longer empty for the universe to kind of flow and put whatever through it right now. All positive things are in alignment with source. And so release all of those limitations, the good and the bad. I was talking to my dad recently, and he was talking about how one of the greatest lessons he learned growing up was that everything is transient. My dad has a very muscular build, and when he was younger, they would make fun of his legs and call them tree trunks because they were so thick. And as an adult, or like as a young adult, people would admire his legs and call them tree trunks because they were so nice and, muscular. And, he worked a lot on his physique and stuff like that when he was younger. And what he gathered from that was that, wow, everything comes and goes. At one point, I was made fun of for this, and at one point, I was admired for this, and at one point, this probably won't even matter. My dad's now in his 60s, and no one's really looking at his legs and being like, wow, your legs. It all is transient. It comes and goes. And you're meant to allow that to happen with ease, with intention, because you know that nothing here is yours to keep. Nothing here is yours to lose. Everything is only here for you to experience. Let go of your fear of what your point of attraction will be because you're experiencing something negative, or you're heartbroken, or you're feeling resentful, or you're angry. It's not about that. It's about whether or not you are identifying with that, whether or not that has now become your climate, whether or not that is, how you describe yourself in your mind, what if that is now your identity. That's what will cause that to be your point of attraction. When you identify as the I am, when you expand your awareness and detach from your reality, and you allow things to flow, the good and the bad, eternally within source, in alignment with source. That's when nothing and no one can shake what is yours, or can resist or block or hold back what is naturally yours and forever flowing to you. There's nothing to fear. There's nothing to fear. You are the higher power, the master and the creator of your reality. It's you. When you stop identifying with these things, when you reclaim your power with these things, when you remember who you are, the I am, that's when life gets good. That's when life gets real, real good, because you're attracting wonderful things that align with everything that the I am is, and you can be present to everything that life is. The good, the bad, the painful, the ecstasy, all of it. It's for you to experience and love and cherish. Anyways, that is the end of this episode. I hope you really enjoyed it. I hope you tune in for the next episode. I don't quite recall if this was a series. No, it's just a single standing episode. And I hope that you can remember this as much as possible. Even while teaching this, I constantly fall between being asleep and being awake. And the reason this comes up as an episode is because it's something that I experience and something that I notice because I experience it. We're all trying and learning, and we all fall back into a lower consciousness, and then we expand, and then we're everything that we truly are. That is what is rightfully yours. Anyways, again, thanks for tuning in. I love you. I believe in you. Your higher self believes in you. Now it's just time for you to start believing in you. See you in my next episode. Love you. Bye.